Welcome back everyone dito sa latest episode ng Deep Dive. Ito yung Team Pinas Foundation, mga duo natin. Of course, kasama natin my former professor and of course my longtime colleague and my new beshi, better higher than Ronald ng one step, almost at the level of Trillias. Ito nga, Prof. Ranjit, alam mo, masaya ako kasi I think we kind of pioneered this kind of non-chop suey scenario head-to-head discussion nung isang year pa when we talk about parang yung ibang R&R, di ba? Rafi Tulfo and Riza Ontiveros versus
Yeah,
Amy Marcos and Sarah. We discussed that more than a year ago, almost 2 years ago,
yeah,
no? And now here we are, 2026. We're still figuring out kung isa na ba yung fugitive na bato lang ba or mayroon pang bongo or mayroon pang si Robin Hood na ex-convict. Like, while we're figuring out dun sa putukan, all the craziness happening, which nakakahiya because it's headlines all over the world. I just
yeah.
broke it down for ABC Australia the other day for Al Jazeera. Nakakahiya. But, nevertheless, I got Sonny Trillane's view on this just a few years ago. Sabi niya, at least tuwan-tuwa siya na wala na yung our aura of invincibility ni Sara Duterte, yung inevitability rather, na
Yeah.
siya naman ang next president. And of course, that's very important because we're heading towards the impeachment and we're heading towards election. So, Prof. Ranjit, you were kind enough to share to us yung head-to-head scenario, non-chop suey
Mm.
survey part. Of course, there's a public version, there's a private, but you were kind enough to tell us a little bit about um, yung mga head-to-head, how competitive it is. And 2 years ago, you already said, hindi inevitable yan. Things could change. Here we are, heading into the third quarter of 2026. It's becoming very, very tight. So let me just bring out some of the surveys that you guys released. So this is the latest one, right?
Yeah, let's keep
It
it
looks,
there.
yeah, let's keep it there. So let's discuss this. Oh wait, nawala ba? Let's discuss this, Prof. Ranjit. Exciting kasi parang kung ano to, parang kung racing ito, biglang naging competitive na.
Di-
So what is the
uh,
latest snapshot before we go to longitudinal and prospective analysis?
Okay, so yes, good evening to all our televiewers around the world, and thank you, Richard, for inviting us. Just for context, this is an Okta Research survey probe. We've been releasing many of our probes over the last few weeks. This was conducted in the first quarter, March 19 to 25. So it's basically the same survey that we've been utilizing over the last few weeks. Last week, we released a survey, or 2 weeks ago, we released a survey where we had one-on-one, just VP Duterte and the former VP Robredo. And you were saying, well, we were saying that trends have changed. VP Duterte has appreciated as far as preference is concerned, and the difference between her and VP Robredo and VP Duterte was less than between 8 to 12 percentage points, depending on what survey question, whether it's preference or a one-on-one contest, no? And again, to our kababayans, this is hypothetical. This is not predictive. This is just a snapshot. So it's very important to this is not deterministic of anything. It's not a guarantee, but it is a snapshot of preference. So a few days ago, we released our first tandem report. Now, Okta produces probes where we have different tandems. Now, why did we produce this? Well, why did we disseminate this? Is because number one, it's for the first time in Okta's comparable tandem surveys, and we've been doing this for almost a year now. A Robredo-led tandem has numerically overtaken for the first time a Duterte-Marcos alignment. That's a very important point. Before this survey, the gaps were between 15 to 25 percentage points. You can imagine that there is actually no tandem that has beaten in 2025 the Duterte Marcos tandem, except today, first quarter 2026. What we have now is for president in a hypothetical tandem, former Vice President Robredo and Senator Rafi Tulfo versus Vice President Sara Duterte and Senator Marcos. So what's the final number? It's not much nationally, but it's still the first time a tandem has overtaken the Duterte Marcos alignment. So 44% nationally versus 40%. Quite nominal. And there's a significant number of undecideds. Okay? That's around, I think, 16%. Tama ba? Ano? 16%. Yeah. That's a lot, no? And it's important to note that while this is, hypothetical, 2 years pang election from now, 16% undecided, looking at the data,
It's not that
the
much,
people
right?
who
I
are,
mean, it used to
it's
be
not that
40.
much.
It used to be
Yeah, and
40, right? Yeah, at some
yeah,
point,
it used to
remember?
be more, no? Exactly, the spread for this particular tandem in particular, Richard, was 15 to 25 percentage points, meaning that's the difference between the tandem last year, okay, between Robredo Tulfo versus Duterte Marcos. Today, the gap has been breached. They now overtake. And again, it's that one could argue that the while this is preliminary, the gap is really 4 percentage points. It's quite nominal, but yeah, as I was saying, the undecided, the people who are undecided will shape this contest. And they're looking for a leader. They're looking for a movement. And while this is preliminary, we're seeing. Let's focus not on the end numbers, but on the trends. What's the major takeaway? No, I think it's become more competitive. The elections of, if you can show the slide, no, the central takeaway in the Okta survey is that the 2028 electoral landscape is no longer one-sided. Diba, Richard? We talked about this last year. Talagang
Oo, tagal
one-sided.
na natin sinasabi to eh. Yeah, yeah.
Now it's not one-sided anymore. I think
Yeah.
there's no more narrative of inevitability or invincibility on the side of VP Sara. Okay, the Duterte, but we have to be clear. The Duterte Marcos tandem is structurally strong in Mindanao. But the survey now shows the emergence of a nationally competitive counter coalition, and that's largely led by former Vice President Lenny Robredo. Because all of the tandems where you have a Robredo are competitive, no? Visayas, okay, what we're seeing also is that there's an increasing regional polarization and electoral consolidation. When you talk about the Robredo-Tulfo tandem, Richard, they're very strong in Balance Luzon and the National Capital Region. So for our viewers who are not, okay, by the way, you can get a copy of this on our Facebook page, the complete summary and the infographics. No? We're going to also post the Ian maps. If you have it, Richard, will share it with us. So just to give you a sense,
Yeah, Ian is working on the latest one. Yeah, yeah. Pero we
yeah,
have
he must be working
yeah, but
overtime.
exactly. Yeah.
So what's
Overtime.
the regional breakdown, huh? Roberto Tulfo got a 61% of, in a hypothetical
Trying to bring up the
2028
yeah.
electoral contest. Roberto Tulfo gets 61% of NCR. Duterte Marcos is only going to get 23%. The difference, Richard, is plus 38 percentage points. Ang laki, tambak. It's maxing out here in NCR. And NCR is moving in a different direction. It's becoming more and more anti-Duterte in a sense, no? The undecided is 15%, so that's still significant, but I don't think it will breach 61. If you're looking at the numbers, ang laki ng tambak dito. 61 ang Robredo Tulfo, 61%, versus Duterte Marquez's 23%. So dito tapos na yung ano eh. So NCR has become the strongest consolidated geographic space for the Robredo tandem, Robredo Tulfo tandem. And I think to a great extent, this is the role of Rafi Tulfo, because he was the one that was paired. And I think that's the impact of a Robredo Tulfo tandem. No, NCR suddenly becomes locked into the opposition's hands. The magnitude of the lead suggests a major urban and metropolitan realignment towards the Robredo Tulfo tandem. No, but I don't. And what is clear here is that NCR is no longer functioning as a neutral territory. It has taken a side. It's the side of Robredo, the Robredo tandem. Now let's look at Balance Luzon. What's the total? No, Balance Luzon, Robredo Tulfo gets 57%. Okay, Duterte Marcos 23%. What's the margin? Plus minus 34 percentage. Ang laki ng tambak. Okay, oh, yes, true. Marami pa rin undecided, 20%. But even if you add the 20% to Duterte Marcos, they're not going to take Balance Luzon. So Balance Luzon is emerging as one of the most, strategically important battlegrounds as far as these matchups are concerned. While Robredo Tulfo currently dominates the region, there's a high degree of undecided votes, so 20%, no? So the region may ultimately determine, no, whether in the future the Robredo Tulfo tandem becomes more and more competitive. So they need to solidify their control here. So when you look at the map, Balance Luzon NCR, Robredo Tulfo. But down south, very, very strong, no? In Mindanao, you want to get the number in Mindanao? Duterte Marcos is 86%. Robredo Tulfo, 5%.
Yeah, and dito
That's
yung sa baba.
81%
Right.
difference.
So
And only
purple is that
10%, no?
combined eh. Oh, the purple is the
Yeah,
combined.
less than
The
10%
86.
lang undecided,
Grabe, yeah.
Richard.
Ang laki, yeah.
So Mindanao remains the overwhelming geographic fortress for the Duterte coalition. But here's what's new about this survey. Remember in the one-on-one survey between Sara and VP Lenny, VP Sara and VP Lenny, the key battleground was Visayas. And in that survey, one-on-one, VP Lenny was losing to VP Sara in Visayas, which is why there was that lead, no? Okay. But here, when you add a Tulfo to the equation, okay, Visayas, here's the number, here are the numbers. Robredo, Tulfo, the tandem will get 48% of the vote in this hypothetical contest. Duterte Marcos will get 40%. The number of undecided, 13%. And the gap, of course, 48 versus 40. It's narrow, no? It's only an 8 percentage point gap, no?
Yeah.
So nakita nyo, Visayas is now clearly going to be the
So
swing.
40 to 48 in Visayas in favor of the
It's too
Robredo.
close. It's too close.
Yeah.
So
Southern Luzon is 23 to 57. Malaki yung gap in favor of the
malaking gap eh.
57
So
to 23 sa Northern
yeah.
Luzon. And then
Yeah.
61 to 20. But the Northern Luzon is interesting because this assumes Amy Marcos yung nasa kabila, diba?
Yeah.
So still, there's a 57 to 23 advantage sa Northern Luzon.
Yeah. So there's some support, no? And maybe there's an argument that maybe she can change her vice president, no?
Yeah, yun nga eh. Like if it's not Amy,
president.
baka it will change here but also change in other places.
Yeah, but the stock in our simulations, the most competitive is not Senator Marcoleta, it's actually Senator Robin Padilla. But they're getting from the same source, Mindanao. I think Senator Padilla's contribution would really be the consolidation of the Muslim vote in the South, and but really she needs more help here in Balance Luzon, no? And maybe that's where I think a Marcoleta.
What about she gets
matchup.
Isko? What if she gets Isko? Do we have a whereby
that
Isko
would be strong. That will be
Yeah.
very strong. That will, I mean, that will be a game changer. If she gets Isko, Mayor Isko, that will change the complete. Yeah, we have some simulations on that.
Right.
Very strong. I think if Mayor Isko just wants to be a vice president, that's the path he can take, no?
Yun nga, I'm thinking, pag-usapan
natin.
natin.
Robredo Isko tandem is also very strong. In fact, it's the second strongest tandem after a Robredo Tulfo. So,
So Isko is like Grace po nung 2016 na parang works with all sides and pwede malakas.
Yeah, it depends. But I don't know. That was the plan in 2022, right? That they would come together. But I don't know if that's going to happen. So what we're seeing here is, a change, no? When you look at the classes, Class E is really Duterte Marcos. That's where VP Robredo has to work. She has to work on that, no? Whether it's the one-on-one or in tandem, she's lagging in Class E. In Class D, it's a lot closer, but that has to do more with, I think, the effect of Rafi Tulfo in the tandem. This is also, an area where there needs to be a lot of work as far as Robredo is concerned. So Duterte Marcos maintains a stronger support among economically vulnerable voters, no? So let me just emphasize, no? So the 2020 electoral environment is becoming more and more competitive and less one-sided. For the first time in Octa's survey of tandem surveys, a Robredo-led tandem has numerically overtaken a Duterte Marcos alignment nationally. Findings suggest that the emergence of the two increasingly consolidated but geographically different political coalitions. So Balance Luzon Balance Luzon and NCR, Robredo Tulfo. Or like we can even say it's moving anti-Duterte. It used to be neutral, but now it's moving in a different direction. And Central Visayas in particular and Mindanao are solidly supporting Sara Duterte and whoever she decides to take as her vice president. Western Visayas, Eastern Visayas, this is where the big fight is, no? The Duterte Marcos or Duterte in general, whoever she decides to make as her or to choose as her vice president, are going to have a hard time in those areas. And that's where I think that's where the swing will happen. If a Robredo tandem is going to make it, they have to make it in Visayas. They have to hold Visayas, not Central Visayas, but Eastern and Western Visayas if they can. So these are I think the
Yung
key
mga
things.
swing states yan. Yun yung mga swing
Yeah,
states.
yeah. Visayas is emerging as a swing battleground. And the undecided voters, which are still significant, because the gap is only at nationally 44 versus 40. 44 for Robredo Tulfo and 40% for Marcos, for Duterte Marcos. So the undecided vote, which is around 16%, remains politically significant and may ultimately determine the final balance of the race. Okay, so I think this is important, no? But again, what's novel about this? We're seeing the trend. Okay, we saw it in the earlier survey probes, no? What seems to be clear about this is what seems to be the trend here is that the tandem of Robredo Tulfo finally overtakes Duterte Marcos for the first time in almost a year. So that's 4 quarters, and the average, the gap used to be around 15. The lowest was around 15 percentage points. The highest was around 25 percentage points. At no time in the whole of 2025 was the Robredo Tulfo tandem competitive, except now in the first quarter of 2026. So that what it shows is that the 2028 race is now evolving from a dominant coalition environment into a genuinely competitive two-block contest. No, regional number 2. I think regional polarization is deepening. I think you're right about it. Before, it's an ethno-linguistic fight. Findings suggest the emergence of a Duterte-centered Mindanao bloc, Obredo-centered NCR Luzon bloc, and a highly contested Visayas battleground. No, okay. I think a third takeaway would be Mindanao is still solidly but Duterte. Nothing incredible about that, but it also shows that that VP Duterte cannot rely on Mindanao alone. Yes, she's powerful there, she's popular there, but getting or consolidating Mindanao may no longer be sufficient, alone. No, they need to get votes in Balanced Luzon and NCR. And they have to stop this consolidation on the other side because look at the numbers. Diba? More than 50% are moving towards another coalition. And when you look at the numbers today, if the elections were held during the survey period, nagma-max out na yung NCR at saka balance sa konti nila makukurot nila doon. So they have to work there. No, I think they have to build their coalition there. But I don't know how that's going to happen given the impeachment that we have now, the polarized political environment. So the battlegrounds are clear. It's Visayas and parts of what's called this Balanced Luzon, because Balanced Luzon still has 20% undecided.
How can we distinguish dun sa tactical and structural in a sense that kasi kung may element ng identity, 'di ba? Parang regional identity, medyo mahirap
Mahirap na yan,
'di ba? Pero kung may element pa rin ng command vote, air war, mobilization, reaching out, then that means na pwede mo pa rin yan, gawin competitive yan. So, dun sa so-called solid South, how solid will the solid South remain given yung mga trend lines na nakita natin, assuming the other camp na mahina dun sa Mindanao will actually do their work. Kasi baka may asymmetry dito kung saan mas solid yung solid South kaysa yung Luzon, di ba? Maybe the Sara camp can do more dun sa kabila. Hindi siya ganun ka-structured and parang identity politics as opposed to solid South. Kasi that matters before we even talk about issues. how malleable it is, or how solid is solid in this case.
It's solid. It's solid as a rock at the moment. It's wow, this is
Solid as bato.
ano,
Solid as
yeah,
bato or
batong
pebbles.
bato, no? I mean, I don't know if we can I mean, if the Robredo Tulfo tandem, assuming it actually happens, can get any more than 5% of that of votes there. Maybe they can make headway in Barm, but right now it seems clear and consistently clear that Mindanao, Central Visayas are a lock for Duterte, or whoever she decides to have a tandem with. Her big challenge now talaga is getting more and more votes in the National Capital Region, especially, and Balance Luzon, where there's still a plethora of undecided voters. So yeah, that's that's her bailiwick. That's the bailiwick of the family. It's ethno-linguistic, yes. It I think they've built a very strong consolidated base there. But we have to understand 16% remains undecided, which means the remains fluid, no, rather than fixed. And again, I think the most important thing is that we've proven that from the numbers that this is an open comparative race now, and narratives will play a key role. Perceptions will play a key role, and the second quarter is not going to be very kind to VP Duterte. We don't know the impact on her numbers moving forward, and if the impeachment process is not the outcome itself, no, as we talked about in the past, if the impeachment process is perceived to be unjust, unfair, or rigged, no, that will add to and is extended, to at least December or November, December. That's gonna really hurt the VP Duterte long term, because more than the outcome, the perception of the everyday Filipino will, at least in Balance Luzon and NCR, will completely change and move to a move towards an alternative. So you can see that naman, the numbers are there. But I wanna raise the caveat again that the survey is not predictive of final outcomes.
Right.
What it measures is perception, snapshots, public sentiment at a particular time. Okay, so ito yung this is the first time a tandem overtakes a Duterte Marcos tandem. That's why we released it.
We released it. Yeah. Just on the latter part of our discussion, Prof. Ranjit, no, yun nga, sobrang granular. Obviously, that's what that's where the clients come in, di ba? In terms of what are the 50 shades of granularity, saan gano'ng kasolid, hindi gano'ng kasolid. Kasi that's where, kasi di ba sa US may purple states din, hindi lang swing states. May mga purple states na talagang toss coin, di ba? So you can work it out, di ba? And then they're like,
so in our case, that's Visayas. That's Visayas.
Eastern Visayas and
Eastern and Western Visayas.
Yeah. Rather than Central Visayas.
Yeah, I don't think much is going to change there. I think we're seeing a consistency there. Ito talaga baluarte niya. But what was incredible is that if you add a Robredo and a Tulfo, those are two winning brands. The Tulfo's impact was really in Visayas,
right,
Richard. The numbers of Leni Robredo were always weak there, but when you add the Tulfo,
immediately
the Tulfo brothers in general yan, yung impact niyan,
so it could be also Erwin.
It could also be Erwin.
Right.
Parang transferable na nga sila eh. They're if you have
interchangeable
two Tulfos, ha?
Interchangeable,
hello.
yung mga Tulfos, interchangeable. I mean, if it's Erwin or Rafi, it could still have some.
No. I'm saying, they have a support all over the country. They don't have a bailiwick that we can characterize the same as the Dutertes, but they're getting votes everywhere. And whether it's Rafi or Erwin, as long as they don't run at the same time for the same position, they're going to be important strategic partner, an important value added to any tandem. We're not closing the idea that VP Duterte might get another Tulfo on the other side. No?
Paano kung Ben Tulfo sa kabila, tapos Rafi Tulfo doon sa, I mean, that would be the great
parang president sa kabila tapos vice president sa kabila.
I hope we're not
TNT lalabas, Tulfo.
Pero Ben Tulfo versus Erwin Tulfo for VP, that would be a crazy
Yeah, that
family
will be crazy.
reunion, no?
I don't think that will happen. No. What I'm saying is that they're value added. It's of their brand,
Yeah.
and they're viable in Visayas and Mindanao. This, of course, will continue to develop.
Yeah.
But the thing we have to understand is VP Lenny and made a statement. They have their camp has made a statement. They're not running. So I don't know what the impact will of this.
If mag-rallying effect sila na suddenly she'll run.
Yeah, baka yung momentum masira. Yun lang point ko.
Correct,
So
correct.
right now may momentum ang Robredo Tulfo. But both of them have stated they're not running. So who
Wink,
is the
wink.
next?
Yeah.
I know, but Richard, sino yung next
Hindi,
tandem?
that's why I want to ask about BAM. Like, what if you put the BAM in the mixture? Let's say Lenny BAM, Tulfo BAM, up, down, down, up. You want VP, one president. Like, how does BAM come into the picture? Because we discussed Riza more than a year ago. And actually, Riza and Rafi is also a very strong tandem, competitive tandem.
Then
Yeah.
it was yeah.
What about BAM? Because there's also a lot of discussion of BAM, especially after doing very well last year sa Senate race. And people, and of course, BAM was the campaign manager of Lenny. Malapit siya kay Lenny, and some would say maybe Nora Aquino could be also in the mix. What about that? What do your surveys say about BAM's prospect in tandems?
Okay, I don't have authority to talk about details, but what
Yeah, of
we're
course, to the
seeing in the
degree that you can share.
simulation, what we're seeing in the simulation is this winning combination right now is Robredo Tulfo winning. Okay, they overtake are very strong,
Very
very
strong.
popular Duterte Marcos tandem. Okay, a second, it seems, so I can talk about details. Viable, competitive but not overtaking is Robredo Isko Moreno. Okay, Vice President. Okay. Third is, of course, and for the first time, okay, again, is Lenny Robredo for president and Bam Aquino for vice president. I can't talk about details, but
Yeah.
that's where it is. Is it competitive? Quite competitive. Are they overtaking? Not yet. But the gap is not as big as it was, large as it was, compared to last year. So again, we have all of this. We have so many permutations and simulations. What seems to be unique about the first quarter of 2026 is that suddenly many of these candidates on the side of the opposite
Right.
the opposition, we say the democracy forces, whatever you could call them, no? The opposition to the Dutertes are now very competitive.
Center forces.
So we're talking about the key people are, of course, Lenny Robredo and Rafi Tulfo. On the side of VP Sara Duterte, she's very well matched up. Her matchup is strong if she decides to take on as vice president two people, Senator Amy Marcos and this person, Senator Robin Padilla. So those are the strong combinations for her. We're texting Senator Marcoleta. It doesn't seem apparent now, but maybe later on it might be competitive, especially given the fact that Senator Marcoleta is also part of the Iglesia de Cristo and they have a massive network here in Luzon and NCR. Yeah, we're also trying to test other people on her side, people like Sal Panelo, and others, no, who are competitive as far as the possibility of her, changing her vice president, her tandem, no? These are the possible tandems to VP Sara Duterte. So that let me repeat, who are the competitive ones? Senator Marcos, they're always winning except now. Okay, Senator Robin Padilla, also very competitive, also winning in many of the simulations. And then there's of course Senator Marcoleta, not as competitive as the two others, and of course people like Sal Panelo were still testing it. No? So for VP Sara Duterte, the path is a little clearer for her. All she needs to do now is just really build her coalition in NCR and Balance Zone. If she can get a few, maybe 5-10% more, she'll probably be in a good place. She has to win Visayas. That's a battleground. So it's clear for her. And then, or she could just hope that another tandem emerges. Because in all our simulations, when you have three tandems, wala, nobody beats other tandem of Duterte Marcos. For now, for now. For VP Robredo, she has to decide if she wants to run. There's a momentum on her side. And
But maybe
places
not
like,
deciding to run. Sorry, I had to move umuulan. But not
yeah,
deciding to run seems to be helping both Tulfo and also Lenny, right? Parang may
I don't
momentum
know. I
sila
don't
by
know.
saying
We
they're not
haven't
running.
measured that eh. We haven't measured it. There's no
May
evidence to.
focus group discussion ba kailangan pag ganun? Like, if they mas decisive, mas mataas ang believe nyo, ganun ba?
Yeah, I think so. Well, there's no. They're not. They're not. You know, the uncertainty is not good. See, okay. What's the? Why am I saying this? When Senator Rafi Tulfo said in Feb that he wasn't going to run, his numbers went down when we measured them compared to, let's say, the fourth quarter of 2025. All this talk about, okay, I'm not going to run is confusing. Potential voters, no, from taking a side because they have to look for an alternative. Okay, so this has to happen, not later but sooner. No, this idea of setting up that opposition to the Duterte coalition, that Naga model has to be set up. The decision for that has to be made much sooner. Kasi the stakes are higher now, and the momentum is there. People are now looking for an alternative. The race is now open. There's no narrative of invincibility or inevitability. It seems to have, in just a quarter, changed completely. And the uncertainty on the side of VP Lenny and her team, her camp, her coalition, is probably going to undermine the momentum that's already been built in the first quarter. So the key now is to sustain that momentum. No, on the other side, it would have been okay because this uncertainty would have gotten points out of the pinks. No, but on the side of VP Duterte, she has the impeachment. So there's no momentum also on her side kasi the trajectory is seemingly, kasi I don't know if she already got a hit in the first quarter. I don't know if she's going to get her numbers up in the second because this impeachment process has been damning as far as her trust and performance levels are concerned. No? And we're releasing a survey on, pretty soon. No? Kasi we started our survey in the second quarter early. Hopefully we'll get some data regarding impeachment and regarding, these hypothetical tandems. But for our kababayans, it's 2028 pa. So a lot of things will change. What we're talking about, that's not focus on the final numbers. Let's focus on the trajectory and the
Yung trend
trends. No?
lines, yeah. Yung
And
trend
the
lines.
trends, are clear. We're moving towards electoral map. No, and you show that electoral map, that regional polarization is deepening in the country. Di ba? There are blocks now, and those blocks are consolidating around candidates and their coalitions. No? So my sense is that a major electoral restructuring is already underway. And the most important implication of this survey is not the 4 percentage point lead, but the broader structural shift behind it. No,
Is
so
it
for the first
substantive or is
time,
it reinforcement of the same north-south kind of divide axis?
yeah, I know,
Parang
but
lumala nga eh.
yun nga, lumala siya. Tama
I
ganda
mean,
yung
look
term mo,
at it,
lumala. Kasi parang,
86% versus 5 lang. And then basically double digit 57, 57, 23, 23, 51, 23. This looks to me like it got even worse. Like the north-south
yeah, it
axis
became
divide is
because
worse.
I think it's because of the addition of Tulfo, Senator
Yeah.
Tulfo. So the people in the north, took a side na. And sa nag-consolidate ng ganyan. So it's a coalition, that coalition, Robredo and Tulfo, I think it's a winning coalition. As far as the survey is concerned, there could be others, no? It could be also, as I was saying, it could also be Lenny Bam. But what's apparent, at least with the data, now that we have, is that it's Luzon, NCR, Luzon, Balance Luzon is really Robredo centered now. Mindanao and Central Visayas is Duterte centered, and then we have a highly contested Visayas battleground. So that's what we're seeing now, no? And I don't know if these trends will continue in the second quarter. But I think it's interesting now. The race is open. And maybe this can also help others make calculations, because really the next few months is all about political calculation for our decision makers, for our members of Congress, for the members of the Senate. No, maybe they can relax a little bit now and say, okay, we're not pressured to choose a side now, because the electoral map is changing in ways that make it very hard to make it a factor, no, in deciding, let's say, impeachment decisions. Now, I think more than ever, it's easier now to make a decision based on evidence lang. Kasi right now, there's no political calculus that says if you make a mistake, tapos ka na. You know, your electoral fortunes are gone. Kasi this takes it out of the equation. Open na siya. There's no inevitability argument. And the data is there. And by the way, we're not the only ones. Akala namin kami lang nakakita nito. Apparently, we're not the only ones who saw this. And another survey
But you're the
agency
only
sort of
one
validated.
openly discussing with me to the degree that you can openly discuss this. Yung iba kasi hindi.
Yeah, because
Or
we're
ayaw
friends.
i-share. Yung iba naman, ayaw i-share.
Yeah, but for all those who want to get the granular data, you can just call Okta, and we'll provide you subscribe to Okta, and we'll provide you all
subscribe.
even all the other what you call simulations since last year. We have all that data. So this is where we are. This is not where we're going to be in 2028. We don't know that. But obviously the map is changing. It used to be one-sided. It used to be dominant to one particular coalition. Now it's it's more open, and I think what's important now. There's no there's no dominant group at the moment. It's a little more open, little more competitive. And when we said that there was a gap that narrowed, no, it's overtaken na nga. With that, as we discussed it last time, that winning coalition, whatever that will be, now there's a proof that a winning coalition can overtake a very strong, very solidly grounded, Duterte led coalition. It's not one-sided anymore. There's no inevitability. There's no invincibility narrative. It's clear you can compete. There is a competitive environment now.
If Lenny does not run, who's the best similar candidate na competitive dun sa mga head-to-head na nakikita nyo? I mean, to the degree that you can share. Because there's this argument na parang it's either Lenny or it's Tulfo na. Parang ganun na eh. Ganun yung argument.
I think it's Raffy Tulfo is really popular. And still
leading ba si Raffy kung yung VP niya from other? Like if Raffy is the presidential and then team up with the other side, progressives and pinks.
In 2024, that used to be the case. Raffy was always winning in the simulations. But in 2026, because of the uncertainty, saying, I'm not going to run, we're not going to do this. He's lost some ground.
But if Lenny is on the P and then VP is a Tulfo, then winner na sila.
Yeah.
That's it's an interesting one.
We have a probe where Lenny decides not to run, and the most competitive is there are two of them. Actually, Senator Raffy Tulfo and Mayor Isko Moreno. So that's it. On the other hand, if VP Duterte does not run, the most competitive is Senator Bongo. Not Robin Padilla, not Senator Robin Padilla. He's number two.
If Sara doesn't run, yeah.
If Sara doesn't run, and Senator Bongo, and Senator Bongo is a unique. When you look at the numbers, he's getting numbers in Balanced Luzon and NCR far more efficiently than.
I mean, he was number one in the Senate last year, so I mean,
So he's fairly popular. And of course, a distant second is of course Senator Padilla, who's not as popular as Senator Bongo. But that's in a scenario when if VP Duterte, for any reason, if she gets impeached or whatever, decides not to run, these are the people who benefit the most from Duterte votes, which are still solid, Central Visayas and Mindanao. This is very efficient and consolidated, and we've seen that in the midterm elections. Yeah, and of course, last point, if there are three tandems, the Duterte lead tandem wins. Yeah, that's
Interesting.
pretty
And
much it.
of course it also assumes na hindi two in one with Bato sa ICC yung isa which is not totally
All I
impossible.
can say, we have no data on that.
Yeah, yun nga eh. Medyo dadamihan natin like it's so crazy, no? Yung mga
Yeah.
Philippine
But
politics.
okay, important to note that this impeachment, we only were able to measure the first quarter. That's January, February, and March. And we were only able to start our survey March 19 to 25. So we got parts of the allegations, parts of the impeachment process. In the second quarter, wow, the hearings in the House, plus what's happening out in the Senate, I don't know. The impact will be significant, no? And I don't think it's positive for the vice president. So she has, as I told you in the last interview, the impeachment process will be a conversion event, parang religious event, no? A conversion event for or against the vice
Parang
president.
pledge
Yeah.
loyalty to the king, yeah.
And then, but the impression of people, more, apart from the outcome, whether she's going to be convicted or not, is the public perception that will be shaped by the evidence and also by the conduct of our senators. The idea there is that 69% of our kababayans want a trial. Okay? Now, if the trial is perceived to be rigged, perceived to be unfair, whatever the outcome is, that will be bad not just for the Senate, but also for VP Duterte, because it will leave a question mark, a continuing question mark. On the other hand, if impeachment process is handled well by, let's say, the Senate president now, and it's handled the way, let's say, former Senator Enrile did, it's considered just and fair, whatever the outcome, I think that will be much better. And it will end, if it ends in a month, imagine the optics, no? VP Duterte will probably finally attend the SONA, no? No? I mean, imagine that, no? If she escapes this, she attends the SONA, what kind of optic will that show? Diba? A very strong, you guys all voted for my impeachment. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Nakuha mo? So, in fact, they need to do the Senate should not think twice. They have to go through this process of the impeachment, really to give the vice president a chance to clear her name. If it can be cleared, no? Assuming but right now the vote seems to be in the it's favoring the vice president, no? So she'll probably survive this, but it has to be done fairly and it has to be done soon and in a shorter period of time, because the longer this drags out, we're seeing it in the first quarter,
Mas
it's really going to
damaging sa
happen.
kanya, oh.
Mas damaging sa kanya kasi the impeachment is a conversion event. It will either be negative for the vice president or positive. It will either convince people or convince people not to vote for her, no, or to prefer her. So the longer this drags out, the more damage it creates for the vice president. So the impeachment has to push forward. And if people are wise, they look at these numbers, they look at the sentiment of our kababayans, people just want a fair trial. They're not saying to convict her. They just want to listen to the case, no? Give her an opportunity to clear her name. But if that's not given and the trial is perceived to be rigged in favor of the vice president, it's going to be very damaging, not just for the vice president, but for the Senate and for our institutions. So this is the
So
lay
kaya
of the
pala
land.
si Alan Peter biglang iba yung kanyang epistemological understanding ng forthwith. Hindi na siya yung baka later pa or next na, immediate na ngayon. Parang now, suddenly they're rushing to talaga forthwith this trial. So for all we know, they're looking at the Okta analysis and saying, we need to get over this as soon as we can.
No, but think about it. If they get over this and get it done in the next month or so, they have the numbers now. Okay? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that this might be the important point of decision making now. The conjunctural, the period, no, strategic period to make a move if they're all pro. But on the other hand, if the evidence, no, and the way the House prosecution team is able to articulate and explain whether she's acquitted or not, public perception is already made. And that can damage her also. She becomes damaged goods, no? She suddenly, the strong ship becomes a sinking ship moving forward. Especially when you have somebody like Leni Robredo as the alternative. And again, I'm not saying vote for Robredo here or vote for Duterte. I'm just saying this is how it is. They're diametrically opposed there. they have two different visions of the country, where the country should be going. They have two versions, no, of persona, no, completely different from one another. Now depends on the everyday Filipino which one they prefer and which vision of the future they want to persist, no. But what's also clear for me and you, and as we keep talking about there's a existential threat to our democracy, and that's why all of us have to, while we disagree on who to vote for, that we all agree that we're Democrats and that we all participate in this process. No, I know it's 2 years from now, but people have to start thinking about what their vision of the country ought to be. At the very least, it should be democratic. And again, that's where the demarcation line is. Who will be the pro-democracy, who will be pro-human rights, di ba? Pro-Philippines, yung mga ganyan. So, and I hope that it will become a kilusan. Kasi, so it will be easier on both sides to choose
Pagka-Ronald
candidates.
Llamas, wala akong sinasabi pero sana ang bobotohin natin ay medyo hindi ganyan-ganyan.
Kasi clear na eh. Clear na si VP Duterte ang
Yeah,
tatakbo on the
I
other
know.
side.
It would
So,
be nice to have a battle of two VPs and two women. That would be interesting.
yeah, that would be very
That would be
interesting.
good. We never had the two women and two VPs battling it out. It would be
And
fantastic.
completely different, different
Correct.
personalities, different visions of society, different styles of governance. And I think that would be interesting. And if they can build coalition, I mean, in the case of Duterte, they're already a kilusan. They're almost cult-like following for the vice president Duterte. On the other hand, for the Pinks, they're still evolving. And the question, the discussion is not as, it's disappointing to me. Kasi, right, given the high stakes at this point in the life of the country, we should start talking about ideas. We start building movements, and there are people who are undecided, and they're significant number. And just this hypothetical survey excited so many people. A lot of them decided. It used to be around 30% were undecided. Now it's half, and a lot of them went to this hypothetical tandem of Robredo Tulfo. People are obviously looking for an alternative. And, it's becoming very clear that big chunks of the country are looking for that movement, that leader, and they're moving in a different direction. That's Luzon and Balance. That's Balance Luzon and the National Capital Region. So this is a momentum, and I hope all sides, lalo na yung the evolving anti-Duterte coalition, or whatever it is, pro-democracy, the Pinks, or whatever, can get their act together.
I have 3 weather conditions since we started. Gloomy, rainy ngayon.
So we're ending on a sunny, on a happy
exactly.
sunny note.
May pag-asa. May pag-asa.
Di ba? Yeah, may pag-asa. I think that was weird, Richard, when we released this. I got so many calls from people I don't even know. No? They just called the number and saying na parang may pag-asa, na may alternative naman pala. Again, these are my own opinions, not the opinions of Octa Research. Okay, para hindi para clear lang, no, na the organization is neutral, but there are people who are saying that democracy has to have choices.
Well, at least there's a competitive field. Some people just like a competitive field, regardless whether your this side does. At least wala nang inevitability, whatever. This will go down to. I just want to sing it this before. Very sunny na. I want to enjoy this. Nababaliw.
You actually have a shadow on your face na talagang
kailangan ko ng shades na ngayon. Mag-shades na ako. The future is bright for the country, kaya kailangan ko mag-shades. Kailangan ko na mag-shades. No, but I have to ask this before tayo mag-end. No, Prof. Ranjit, so it looks like basically ang take natin against snapshot lang ito, Lenny is the best bet to prevent a Duterte return. Parang ganun. And even if it's Bongo or
why do you have to, it's competitive.
What if Robin Padilla or Bongo yung magre-replace kay Sara? Competitive pa rin si Lenny, a Lenny-led tandem?
Yeah, actually the race becomes even more competitive.
More in favor.
For a broader, let me clarify that, for a broader set. Then suddenly people like Bam Aquino become very competitive.
Yeah.
Of course, Lady Robredo is there.
Yeah.
Then Isko Moreno is also competitive. people like John Vic Remulla become competitive in a
This is
situation
before
where
the Senate putokan, I suppose. I'm not sure
yeah,
about that.
obviously before
It
that.
could be a
But we don't know.
different.
We don't know the
Yeah.
effect on the numbers. People like Nick Torres suddenly become competitive as vice president.
Interesting.
So when he's out of the equation, more candidates.
Wait, so if
And then
Sara is not in the equation, it opens up the
yeah, it
race.
seems like
Interesting.
the environment becomes open for other
Interesting.
alternatives. And
Interesting.
maybe two or three tandems might emerge even
100%.
in such an open environment. But
Yeah.
right now, she's polarizing in that sense. If she's there, if Duterte is there, it has its own baluarte. And it does not provide an incentive for a third tandem to emerge.
Correct.
It really has to be just one tandem against them. And that in that scenario, that hypothetical scenario, which may or may not actually happen, there is actually a winning coalition now, only now, that overtakes the very strong, very competitive, and very dominant Duterte Marcos alliance.
Well, the one thing is that nakita naman natin to dati, di ba, with Binay having really prohibitive lead and then it just evaporated. On the VP race, we saw with Mar Rojas at some point 40+ percent. It evaporated. But is there a floor for Sara Duterte before we wrap up this discussion? Kasi yung ceiling niya parang medyo nakikita natin. But is there a floor? Kasi we talk about structural support eh. Can she
Yeah,
become 25-30%, like regardless
yeah, her
whatever
number is
happens?
around 30% of the electorate right now. I don't know if it will go down below that. It doesn't seem clear to me that it will. It doesn't seem there's no data to show that it actually what goes down below that. So that's probably a hypothetical floor. But her numbers can go up to, as you can see, 45%. Yeah, it's yeah, and right now in this particular survey, she's extremely competitive. Remember, the survey's margin of error is plus minus 3%. So technically speaking, there's actually, alam mo, very
Right.
nominal, very, very nominal. Bahagyang,
Yeah.
okay, lead, no? In Filipino, no? Very nominal lead. But it shows that there are competitive alternatives. For the whole of last year, it seemed very clear that the race was one-sided. Now the 2028 electoral environment is becoming more competitive, and there's no narrative of invincibility or inevitability anymore. So that is another key findings for the first time in Octa tandem surveys. A Robredo-led tandem together, that means together with Senator Rafi Tulfo,
Actually
has
leads. Yeah.
has
Robredo
numerically
leads.
overtaken the Duterte Marcos alignment nationally. Those are, I think, the key things.
Sorry, habol ko to. Bakit Sara Aimee lang? What about if it's Sara or Robin Hood or Sara Bato? Is it still gonna be the same? Na
No,
may
no, no.
lead
I think ang na-measure lang namin, Sarah and Robin, it's competitive but not, it doesn't have the same
so
numbers that
Sara
we're
Aimee is
seeing.
the strongest possible for Sara?
Yeah, for us, for
Interesting.
strongest, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
kaya nga so
No, no, in terms of number of votes.
yeah, yun
So,
nga. So ito yung optimal for each side.
ito yung optimal in terms of,
So in an optimal phase, may lead pa
yeah.
rin ng Lenny Tulfo. Okay, I get it. Kasi I was thinking, bakit
So
puro
this is the strongest. So we got the strongest tandem for the side
for
of
which both
VP
sides?
Sara, and then we took the strongest. Well, it's the strongest because it's the only one that has overtaken. No, that's why we say it's stronger. But when you talk about Tulfo, Robredo, or Tulfo, or Isko, no,
Yeah,
they're also competitive. And we talk
competitive.
about Lenny Robredo, President,
Bam.
Vice President,
Yeah,
Sam Bam Aquino. There's a there's still a significant gap, but it's still competitive.
yeah,
So
competitive.
we're just showing, for those who are interested, you can always subscribe, and we can give you more data. Just get in touch with Okta Research. If for those who are interested in this particular report, you can go to our Facebook page in particular, and download it from there. So yeah, Okta Research is open to everyone. It's a non-partisan.
Right.
This is a non-commissioned survey. Actually, it's the only time it was non-commissioned.
Yeah.
Last year, it was all commissions. So we never released anything.
Medyo, para sa
We just
bayan.
made that chismis, no?
Alright.
Chismis. But now, we're releasing to whoever wants to subscribe, no? All you have to do is to subscribe, and then that's it. You can
Fantastic.
get access to all our data.
Thank you so much. And looking forward to sharing me with the data directly. Hindi na ako
Yeah.
mag-subscribe. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Prof.
Thank
Ranjit.
you, Richard.
That was quite yeah, we did 360 degrees. Ang daming pag-usapan. I think it's happy. I mean, you can see the future is bright for the country.
Yeah,
Nag-shade
that
na ako.
we shouldn't lose hope. No, the future is bright.
Absolutely.
As long as we continue to be a democracy and we choose to be Democrats, who cares about unanimity? No, what we have to have is solidarity, di ba? Yan ang pinaka-importanting element ng democracy. We will disagree, but if we're disagreeable and we forget that we're citizens, saan tayo pupudutin, di ba? Our democracy will fail. And I guess that is the key thing. Who and what coalition will broaden and deepen our democracy is the choice for 2028.
Thank you very much, Prof. Ranjit. Looking forward to more discussions about this and hopefully, God willing, in person next month with
Yeah.
Associate
Enjoy
Justice Ron.
Oxford. Enjoy your
Yeah.
last few weeks in Oxford.
Yun nga at saka yung
Yan
may son,
nga eh.
finally may son na konting son.
Kailangan pala may umbrella ka pala talaga dyan, no?
Oo,
Talagang
grabe. Like all the
gentleman.
time. Parang Baguio siya actually. It's very like Baguio na biglang may ulan, biglang wala. But it's a bit crazy.
Iba ka na talaga, Richard. Dati pasado-sado ko lang sa klase.
Grabe ka naman.
Oxford
Alam mo, Prof, once lang tayo nagkaabutan sa class. Nakasando, hindi mo na ako pinatawag.
Okay, it left indelible mark, no?
Judgy ka. Yun,
Yeah.
grabe yung isang...
I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you, Richard. So please enjoy
Thank you
yourself.
so much, Prof. Ikaw rin, ingat ka. And God bless
Bye.
you. More power.
I'll see you in a few weeks.
Yes,
Bye.
let's do June. God bless. Salamat.